All right, welcome to Octomoves chat with DJ. Uh, so, DJ, you're the coach of sandbag in Octomoves community. So you made a course for us to enjoy. But I would like if you can introduce yourself, like, and share whatever you would like to, just to begin with.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a coach out of Southern California. I've been training coaching for, oh man, over 17 years. Yeah, I'm old, Ruckus. Too long. I've been doing it too long. But yeah, so yeah, I've been doing that. And uh, speaking of sandbags, that's something that I like to use in my coaching training. I think it's a great tool to teach people how to move while introducing uh, tension into their body that they don't really get with barbell and traditional equipment.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of application in that. Yeah, that's what I do.
So coaching for 17 years. So I guess it's like more than half of your life, as they know.
Damn, yeah, you put it like that. Yeah, I think it has been now. I'm like at that tipping point where I've been doing that more. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, doing it a long time and went through a lot of phases. So yeah, still learning, still beginner mind.
Yeah, it's I guess like all the coaches, like we have all that phase in the circling, and it circles back where we start usually, because like most of us started like something around bodybuilding, and like you started talking about like a couple of years ago, I think, about like how everybody will go back to that, and I picked that thought, and actually I've been thinking it's like yeah, those guys actually know that mind body connection. It's like we're deep in it, but those like really pros, and I see a lot of good stuff over there, but I guess many people miss it or just trying to do it for aesthetics, which we still kind of doing for all for that.
Yeah, for me personally, I've circled around to that, but I'm viewing the practice with a different kind of intention. So before it was like yeah, I was linking just pure pain and effort to uh, how I was going to progress at the things. Now I'm
Mhm.
looking just a little bit more mature. And I still think, even if you're looking for aesthetics, like the ability to modify your structure with muscle mass, I think is very functional. I think that's one of the things more hypertrophy training has to offer, like a movement practice, is hey, if we give this structure more connection and a little more meat to sense, connect to, and feel
Mhm.
during movement, that's just a better scaffolding to move your body around. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing it now, is just a little bit more of a purpose than I guess just looks, which is part of it, or just hammering tissue. Uh, you know.
I
So
guess
yeah, I think there's application.
heavy shit just lifting up, throwing up, and it's like it's really cool to watch when you're doing those things. Because like myself, I'm kind of skill guy. I can really easily to pick up any skill and like
Yeah,
coordinate.
you can. I've seen it.
Yeah, the coordination is good, but like whatever is related with something like more explosive or strength that needs the strength, I tend to overdo it and sometimes get some minor injuries because of that. Like, oh, I want to push it a little bit further, but my tissue is not capable of holding that, and it's kind of hard to slow down yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
hmm Yeah, I've experienced that too, because I like to push it heavy. Like for me, my nervous system likes that. Like it's a nice hit of dopamine, something like short, intense, putting something over your head. Um, but yeah, it's almost like a meditative quality if you're going into like the pump mindset. Because for me, the issue I had was I wanted to go from like 0 to 10, like RPE 10 all out, even when
Mhm.
doing like an isolation work. And I've put a constraint on myself where, okay, now you're going to not like get emotionally reactive, not like bust your nut on this set, and just keep focus and go into the connection. And that was hard for me at first. And now it's a skill I built, and I'm able to do more volume. I'm feeling better. It's carrying over. So yeah, I think on that spectrum, I think endurance, like rope flow, is something like that. Like you have to stay in the flow, stay in the moment, and you can't like start yelling and getting aggressive. So I think these things are really good to practice, especially if you're deficient in one side.
Well, there's a point if you're doing like want to challenge yourself with the rope flow. There's a point that actually like such a dark place and you want to scream
Well, it's about it. Let me know if this is kind of something you experience, but is there a point where you're like pushing it, and you're on this boundary between like losing it and going out of the flow, and you're kind of testing like that limit, which you maybe can't stay in for that long?
Yeah, so there's two things that I tried. Like one is the short as a sprint. It's a dark place, but you know that it's gonna end really, really soon. So you kind of push it, and you feel like your all lungs is going to burn. So this is quite nice. But like when I did it for like double dragon, so just doing the dragon and switching the sides, dragon switch,
Mhm.
and I did it for 15 minutes. I
Oh,
and I can't remember what kind of pace I put it on because I put a metronome and I kept going with it. Like actually after like 2 or 3 minutes it was super dark, but like I kept pushing, and it actually kind of, I guess, in somewhere in the middle, kind of push it through, and it starts becoming quite really easy, but not as easy. It's still challenging because it's still a lot of, but you made your movement more effective, and because like some parts of your body was so tired, so you start using something different. So I guess there's like different intentions starts appearing, and yeah, it was tough experience, but I'm really happy that I did it. I don't know if I'm going to repeat it sometime soon, but yeah, it's really flowy sensation, but as well you kind of mentally talking with yourself. Just one more minute, just one more minute, and like one more rep. If you
yeah,
stop,
that's
and
interesting.
you couldn't go again, but while you're going, you're still going. So body is still capable of doing it. Uh, so since we brought up the rope flow, what's your relationship with it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I have people playing around with the rope. I don't really go too uh much into all the tricks and skill moves for like the general pop I'm training. It's
Mhm.
more about just like, hey, we're gonna see if we could shift your hips and your ribs and maybe get balance on one foot. That's like the basic stuff I like to use it for with people. And then I'll find that some people like it, and I'm like, okay, here, maybe we can do a little bit of fun stuff with it. You could treat this as your aerobic work, your cardio, your movement work. If you get bored, like walking on the treadmill, just do this for a while. So then it opens up the door. I use it first as like specifically training movement and disassociation of the hips and ribs and getting balance on the feet. And if people, which most people do like it, they get hooked on it, they name the rope, you know the deal, right?
Yeah.
After they get in, then it opens the door like, hey, if you actually like to do this, then this can become a hobby. And it's a solo hobby, which is nice because I recommend like, hey, try to get in like a running group or rock climbing or jujitsu. But like a lot of people, maybe this is the most accessible thing they could do for fun. And that's also a cool thing is it's fun, right? Because it's a skill you're trying to practice. So yeah, that's I usually introduce it to people and we go from there.
Yeah, like I see it. It's really easy to enter it. It's like the basic patterns. Everybody can do it. It doesn't matter. You just show it up. But most people just like don't understand what's happening here, and we're struggling with that. And it's not important to kind of push them and learn those tricks. Like myself as well, I like those basics. It's just like digging them longer, and like you kind of stretch it out, like feel more loose, more like your body moves more fluidly, and that kind of puts me into that flow state where I try to when I start mixing all the patterns and just playing with it. It's actually you get all of that fun. And yeah, the most important thing is that people find something that we like to do, and it doesn't matter what it is if
Hmm.
they enjoy it.
I got a question for you, Ruckus. So before you got into the rope flow, you were surfing, doing other movement related things. Is there something about that rope flow practice that brings you to a state that you find you haven't found in other kind of sports or hobbies?
Hmm. Uh, that's a good question. Well, something similar. I found it when I tried to learn the Kung Fu chain whip, which was like kind of my foundation for the rope flow. That's maybe why I got it so easily, because that's like a kind of one hand tricks, like what you do with the rope flow. So basic figure eight patterns that you're gonna wrap it around the hands and necks and whatever, and just trying to throw it. And yeah, it actually it made me like more connected with myself and with the moment. I used to run professionally, but that one is like kind of you kind of easily disappear from your body with your thoughts. Yes, it's so repetitive and not challenging enough. And within row flow, I found it that you can always add extra layer for a challenge, which keeps you in that moment. And I know it helps me actually to think and to stay there. Whereas I feel I need it from time to
Hmm.
time. It's not
Have you
necessary.
noticed?
Yeah.
Have you noticed a change, like cognitively, emotionally, since introducing that practice overall in your life?
Yes, actually, I'm calmer. Like when
Mm.
if I do it, like, I feel calmer. I feel more connected. So I also use it from time to time when I need to get an answer from myself for something. So you just get into a single pattern for a long time. At this point, I put the intention to think, but like it kind of puts in really interesting spot that like where answer comes within, like just like you're rolling, keeping your mind always to that what you're feeling with that single pattern and the single
Hmm.
thought that you want to get an answer. And it's like a lot of thoughts are coming in, like the different thought streams, and sometimes it's start get wondering, but rope flow brings you back. You're still thinking about what you're doing, because if you start wondering, it starts hitting you, and you bring back, okay, I need to think about that thing, and again I need to think about that thing, and constantly bring myself back to that thing, and until like boom, I get an answer. And it's like drop the rope, go do it, stuff that I needed to do, or write it down or something like that.
That's interesting. I've had a similar thing when I do a sandbag carry or a sandbag walk. Um, actually, me and Tom Mountjoy were playing around with psilocybin, trying
Mhm.
to induce like a challenging trip, trying to make ourselves have a bad trip, pretty much, where you get in the like negative loop, the thought
Yeah.
cycle. And we were playing around with tools to kind of get out of that, to focus the mind, work through it, go into it, process it, and then come out the other side. And yeah, I found the sandbag worked like almost every time. And we tested it out with some other people. And I think the rope might be doing the same thing. You're kind of just focusing the attention on a single task, especially when you're facing something emotional or something you need to work through. And it kind of helps you get in on it because your movement, uh, I think it has something to do with like the walking or the rope, which is this, bilateral rhythmical activity that's linked to the breath, and you have
Mhm.
to keep all this together, because something like just breathing through something or meditating through something doesn't work as well for me, because I need it anchored to actual movement and breath where I don't have to think too much. uh, so I think those things are very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because if I try to sit it for 10-15 minutes and just think about one thought, it's super hard. But when you link it with the movement, even with, you don't need to play with the movement, just sing easiest way that you can do any rope flow pattern, whatever you feel like it. It makes much easier.
Yeah, I think it's the same as meditation, but it's a loaded meditation, right? Like
Yeah.
some people need the load and the movement and the coordinative task on top of it, so that it's like lifting a weight. Like the
Yeah.
more load, the more pump, the more feel you can get, and that's the same thing for attention and the mind.
Yeah. That's, yeah, good thoughts for that. Did you had yourself any like rope flow goal, or you just learn like basic patterns and go with it?
For myself, yeah, maybe I'll be put like a skill goal. I haven't had one on the table recently. um but maybe it's getting a little cooler now, and that's usually where I like to bring the rope out when I go on my walks.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like I like the basic, like underhand, just walking is my favorite, and just trying to feel as much as I can when I do that. And I love the one of the weighted piece you have for the
Hmm.
rope.
Yeah.
Man, that's a game changer. I really enjoy that, because it just takes the feeling and that connection to the core, and that map of your nervous system, where it's like extending from your core to your hands out to this object in space, and you have that weight out there that just like increases the map of your local environment. Man, that lights me up. I really enjoy that.
That's your thing, like something loaded, even more load.
Yeah, well, yeah, more feedback, more sensation, which is different for different people, but find the sweet spot for you, and that's what's cool about that, is you could add it, see if it feels better or worse. So I like the adjustable aspect. But yeah, just the normal stuff I'm playing with now, and then watching you do the crazy stuff.
Yeah, have you tried to doing with the octoforce? Those like lateral movements, like archers stuff, that it goes up in the one side and goes down and to other side.
No, I haven't.
Uh, yeah, you should try it. The load on the all the shoulder area, it's amazing. So this
Yeah,
is
oh yeah, I'll give that a try.
and it's super
Sometime.
basic. That's
Okay,
like
that's good for me. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometime after a shoulder day, I'll do the overhand, just as like you said, a sprint, as many as I can, AMRAP in 1 minute. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm burning. That's a good little burn.
Um, Actually, I lost the question that I had just a second ago. Anyways,
Uh-oh. Get the rope out. Maybe we'll
yeah, I guess
remember
I, I,
it.
I have I have that one over here. Like,
Oh yeah, there it is.
it's always somewhere close. Now, so what was your biggest challenge with the rope flow?
Biggest challenge. So I guess the going behind the back. So like dragon roll, stuff like that. I would do it, but I wouldn't be very fluid. It was clunky for me. Um, so learning how to kind of use my body and less of muscling through it with my arms. Like more the center, I guess, moving around the center.
Hmm.
That was like a hurdle that was very beneficial when I got through just
And
learning more about my body. What's that?
how did you solve it?
Just practice, practice, and then going away from what didn't feel good and going towards what felt better. And I have Chris down here. Chris and Weck are down here in San Diego, so getting tips from them helped. But yeah, just like anything else, playing around with it, getting better at it, finding what works.
Yeah, cool. Okay. No more
Okay.
questions about the rope
No more
flow.
questions about the rope.
No, I had like a couple of the cheat sheet questions that I usually trying to ask, but yeah,
They disappeared.
now I want to kind of get the stuff that I actually want to chat with you just randomly. Have you tried to put the rope with the sandbag?
What do you mean? How
Uh,
so?
like what I do is on the sandbag when you that ceiling part that has those two
Hmm.
strings. So I kind of use the one to wrap it out or just on the bottom of the ball, just wrap the rope, and
Hmm.
you when on the beach, I can actually kind of pull it or just
Yeah.
like doing some things or just holding on the handle and like pushing and trying to lift so it's like playing with those levers.
Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah.
Some
So
thoughts to play.
I put a rope, I put a towel, a long towel
Hmm.
through one of my sandbags, and I to like to do the bite lifting. And yeah, when I did that and I was like carrying it around, I was like trying to like slam it and throw it. Um, but yeah, the rope, yeah, there's a lot there I would love to play with. Especially in the sand, you could like drag it like a
Yeah,
sled, right?
yeah.
But the pressing and holding, that would be cool. Yeah,
Well,
and
that
you could make it
sounds like a
the
thing. Like, so that's like when I channeled you and been doing those things, kind of. Every single time I do something like strength related and some lifting, organic stuff, so I always think about you.
that's your archetype you're drawing
Yeah,
upon.
like it's like
Yeah,
if
I
I
like that.
be heavy, I want to be like you.
Well, I'm going to try some of that, Rokas. That's a great idea. Yeah, especially if you have the rope and you grab one side and you still grab the rope but close to the bag, and then
Mm.
you have that like loaded sandbag off to the side. Man, that would feel great. I'm trying to imagine how it feels, and I think it's very positive.
Well, you have a lot of experience in lifting, so I guess you can kind of mentally create that sensation in your body. Because like
Yeah.
for myself, like in winter when I
Mhm.
spent one winter in Lithuania like a couple of years ago, but that was long ago. But anyways, so when I was like walking outside and like get cold, I just think like what it feels to do some patterns with the rope flow that like generated from my core, and like in a minute or two, I start feeling the heat and I'm not cold anymore.
Do you feel like when you were imagining it, you were feeling the muscles and movement from like the
Yeah, I'm
center?
without moving, without anything, but yeah, like what it will feel for me, like if I kind of trying to remember what it feels like to be rolling a rope, and it takes like a minute or two before it starts heating up, like all the core. Because I used to do with the core only, not like hands or anything else, but it's just like that part, and it's like it's really interesting. I have no idea what's happening here, but it worked for me. That's like how I get out of cold. I get cold just thinking about it.
So if you're standing there imagining that, do you feel like you hold your posture or stand differently? Do you feel
Mm,
do you feel anything change?
yeah, I guess my posture erects more, like it gets like where
Mm.
it's supposed to be. And but I'm still constantly playing with all the tensions and different positions of the joints when I'm rolling. So when I start thinking, it was just like usually the most comfortable one that I was trying to stand up, or the one part that actually I've been working on. So when you catch like, so okay, like now it's hips, and you're constantly, everything I'm doing throughout the day, I'm thinking about the hips, their placement, what tension I'm creating, how it kind of connects to other parts. I guess like you have those struggles as well, but like, and like
Yeah.
it's like when
it's
you
a
hook
it's a curse.
yes. It's like everything is from once you wake up till you go to sleep, and it's weird, but yeah. And it's kind of periods of your life, like, okay, that was hips, that was like upper body, that's like ankle or whatever, like you're thinking one thing, and it's constantly around that.
Yeah, that's why the rope is cool for that, exploring different parts of the body. Um I have a client who's a stroke patient, multiple strokes. So he, went from having to relearn how to walk, to get up, to even like talk again. And his thing is he has this right side that after the stroke is like totally shut down, like very little connection to.
Hmm.
And for years, so they're saying, if you don't remedy these things right away after stroke, you're really not going to regain the capacity neurologically, which I know I don't fully believe, but we'll have him, you know, the goal for him is like be able to just put his weight over that right foot and kind of hold balance for even a second. And the rope was one of the pathways into that. Like, okay, we're going to kind of put that right foot forward, which is already scary. And then we're going to reach forward with the rope. And that shifting over that leg, similar to gait, was the thing that he didn't have to think about. I didn't have to cue. I was just giving him that task with the rope,
Yeah.
which the cool thing is like you can kind of extend your center of mass and body through that tool, that implement. Um, and then, yeah, I put it on my story the other day. I'm like, okay, now let's start like marching through that. And then for the first time ever, he's like shifting his weight without thinking about how to shift, which a lot of these like functional movement practices like do a lot of work and drills. I'm like, okay, go here. But just using that rope taught him that. And that
Mm.
I couldn't. That's what I love about tools like this, simple tools where it bypasses all the thinking of how you're supposed to do it, and it just puts you into the task. Um, so yeah, powerful stuff with just simple tools and simple movements like this. I love it.
Yeah, and that's actually, I guess, the beauty of the coaching, and putting the right words in your mouth just to guide those people. Like you put for him an intention. It's like myself, like in surfing, there's some people like really technical, and they try to explain, oh, you need to do that and that with your body and stuff, and it doesn't work for me at all. But
Mm.
like there's another coaches, and if they tell you something, it's like, oh, you just reach there and that spot and that spot, and it's like it's instantly you just like made you way better. So this
Yeah,
is really beautiful stuff. And yeah, for I saw that star, and like yeah, that's cool. That's amazing. um and yeah, props to you, but because you used the right tools for him that made sense, and he could achieve the really great things.
yeah, that's how I look at it. And I guess some people from the outside, if they look at something like the rope, um, they go straight to like, oh, this is like a game to learn. Like it's for fun, it's for learning skills. It's like there's so many layers of it. But once again, I think most people, um, if they realize at the very base what something like that could do, it's just a good tool to modify basic movement and shifting balance and utilizing the core. There's a lot of usefulness behind it. Same for the sandbag, other things. Like it's just a constraint that's produces very beneficial outcomes.
Yeah. Have you tried the rope flow with the bite training that you do?
I have not. Have you?
No, but I'm thinking like, why not? Actually, it's like I should have done that before, because yeah, I try to mute all the time when I'm kind of rolling. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
suck it all everything out, and it's like, yeah, but I guess this would be another load for your spine. So you're kind of wiggling your spine when flowing, so this would be kind of nice load for that. Yes.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I'll give that a try. It would be it kind of loads the midline a little bit, and then you add the rotation with the rope. So that would be very interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like recently I noticed like some people told me that like we have really sore shoulders and stuff, like more from the hands after rope
Mm.
flow. So my suggestion was just simple: just use more of your spine, uh, and that helped them a lot. We said like, oh, no more soreness. We started using their spine, so we kind of distributed the load across the full torso. So you're gonna load that spine finally. That's what the goal was. Like as our like original slogan was ignite your spinal engine.
Yeah, isn't that funny that you could take one task, the rope, someone fatigues in the hands, arms, and you just say, hey, use different muscles, and they do the same thing and they fatigue in a totally different place.
Yeah,
Like that fascinates me, and that's that makes me think of people thinking the mind muscle connection doesn't matter. It's all about like biomechanics and angles and force. It's like, no, if you put your mind somewhere, you're going to execute the movement differently, and you're going to fatigue and shift the tension to different muscles, which will then have a change on what you're getting out of the movement. So that's awesome to see in real time like that.
yeah, and it's just a single message that you send.
Hey,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, and for myself, like it was like mind bending, and like, okay, let's make my ankles more to work most while I'm rope flowing, and it's super easy, and it's so fast to get to your ankles, so not sore but like fatigue while you're still doing it.
Man, that's cool. I'm gonna try that out. Yeah, that would be fun to do a flow and then think, all right, I'm gonna go top down, I'm gonna go neck, I'm gonna go shoulders, I'm gonna go spine, I'm gonna go hips, knees, ankles, and just work your way down and see how it affects how you produce the movement. That's cool.
Yeah. So my recommendation is to do it in front of the mirror, so you will see how it changes the flow. Like I don't look at the rope at all when I'm rope flowing, but it's all about how you're moving body uh, within that kind of, I don't know how to say it. Well, just the rope is around you. Yeah, if you're moving
Hmm.
your body quite nicely, it just flows. So watching yourself in the mirror and just kind of, it's kind of body scan, just like, okay, neck, spine, hips, knees, ankles, and you see like how all your body is wiggling differently from all
That's so cool.
my mind connection to that spot. So it's fun.
God, the body and the mind are amazing, huh? That, that's just shifting your focus and awareness changes everything.
Yeah,
Damn.
exactly. Uh, so what would you advise for like just a regular day people that wanna kind of get healthier, just get better at moving? Just simple people, not athletes, not coaches, the same. Just a simple advice that we can kind of implement it today.
Yeah, this the real salt of the earth people. Yeah, my people. Yeah. Yeah, I would say and this is people looking to like get in shape or get stronger or just start a
Not actually, just basically like, as we know, like everybody knows that we need to move, but
Mhm.
only few actually does that.
Right.
So if somebody is like picking up the sports, or we're doing because we know we need to do, what advice you would give for them?
Yeah, I guess like we know, more movement is a beneficial thing, and most people are not moving. So I think ways to leverage this is use something social and use something fun. So if you get into a community of people who are moving, and something that's maybe less serious and more about the experience and the fun and the process itself, and maybe it's Zumba or jazzercise or something like that, or maybe you start an activity with a friend, playing some sport, or just join a walking club. um, so tying an activity in with something that's social and something that gives you a positive experience while you're doing it, that you don't feel like you're punishing yourself or working through. And something, there's things that are low cost, low barrier to entry, something like the rope. Find something that's easy that you could do that doesn't require a lot of effort. Once again, like the rope, you could do it in your living room, in your house.
Yeah.
So find something like that that's easy to start, that I would say that has a community behind it, or has some sort of social aspect, and maybe a trainer that's an aspect of another individual keeping you accountable, and something you enjoy doing.
Well, but the trainers, it's tricky things because some of them will push you that can make you actually not wanting to do. Like
Yeah,
especially like back in
trauma.
Lithuania. Yeah, especially back in Lithuania, I noticed like a lot of people has a really negative idea about the trainers because we push them and we don't feel like we don't enjoy what we're doing,
Hmm.
or we feel like really shit afterwards or get some traumas. And that's usually what happens, especially with the people who just starting, like we're new.
That's true. But I will say this. I saw, and these are some of the most successful trainers at like commercial gyms. They weren't the best, like actual trainers. They weren't the best at exercise physiology. They weren't the best at teaching people how to move, but they were like very sociable, kind, personable people who talked to their clients, and who their clients liked, and they enjoyed spending the time together, right? And
Yeah.
then that alone, after a year, got them comfortable in the gym, got them comfortable producing effort on exercise. And then, maybe they left and moved on to something else, but that got them in the door. Um, yeah, there are, I mean, you have to choose the right trainer, and you don't want a negative experience as far as injury, or just someone who like traumatizes you, gives you kind of the wrong uh, association with moving. But yeah, I think just getting in the door and having a good time is the main thing. And then from there, like you and me, Rokas, you get into the weeds and you can start nerding out about the process. But yeah, I think as long as we're just uh giving a safe place for people to come, have fun, and make friends, I guess, like
Yeah.
socialize with other people. That's what I'm noticing, is a lot of people who come in uh to the gym and work out, that's kind of the only social interaction they have that's not related to work or family sometimes.
Hmm.
And I think people are starving for that. And I think that's another level, another aspect of health that in the fitness community we might be ignoring, is social health.
Yeah.
And when you look at it through that lens, CrossFit makes perfect sense. it's like people aren't necessarily coming just for the workout. They're coming to work out with other people as a group and to talk before and after, and then, you know, have a set schedule where they see this group, this community. It's like church, you know, people don't have church anymore, so they're doing that kind of stuff. So I'm all
Yeah,
for it. You know, I think we need it.
yeah, I really liked being that preacher at the CrossFit box and I used to work. Yeah, it was good times actually. Like when I'm thinking about my coaching career, and so the CrossFit box was one of the most fun place to work. Like the community is really tight. You have really good time. I was kind of that coach that never pushed them too much. Most of the CrossFits that I saw, it's like, hey, just take your time if you need. Like, you're still sweating, so it's good for you. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, like we used to have really good time, and like the latest sessions was like always like extra half an hour to chat afterwards or so. So it's super fun. Yeah, I guess some of people are really afraid to go to the gyms, so yeah, try different coaches if you didn't like the first one, second, or the third, and like just find the one that listens. I guess this is the really important part. And for the coaches, the tip would be just listen what the customer is saying, what the trainee is saying, because they give you what they want. So just fulfill the needs what they asked, and yeah, you will be the best coach, and you will actually help them progress and finding that thin line, like actually where you can push a little bit, but give something fun and just like playing back and forth.
Yeah, if you listen, they'll give you the answers you need, definitely. And even, you know, even an online community, that for some people, that can even make a huge difference. Like for me, like my workout partners and movement friends are online on social media, I guess, because I don't have them in real life. But I've even seen that people connect um, over online and do things together and challenge each other and get feedback. I mean, that's how we met, Rokas, right? So I think there's a cool community of people who can help and encourage each other online as well.
Yeah, cool. Well,
Yeah.
that was a great chat, DJ. I guess thank you for your time. We can finish the recording here, and yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Thanks for having me, Rokas. That was fun.